Hey guys, this is Gray Mouse 1. I wanted to do a video about one of my favorite Nintendo franchises of all time. I'm speaking about The Legend of Zelda. Recently, The Legend of Zelda has celebrated 30 years. 30 years of The Legend of Zelda. That's just a long time if you really think about it. 3 decades of The Legend of Zelda. So for this video, I thought I'd just show off what Zelda games I do have and provide, some commentary on some of the games that I've played, some of the games that I have not played, and some of the games that I do not possess at this moment. But in due time, I will have them all. Of course, except for the 3 games off the CDI, which was horrible. And most Zelda fans don't even acknowledge that those games exist. That's just how bad they are. So without further ado, I would like to start this off with no other than the original Zelda game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I remember as a kid when I first bought this game, or when my parents first bought this game, I was instantly hooked. It was one of the greatest games I've ever played up to that point. Also, it was a Nintendo first to have a battery pack that actually saved your progress in the game, especially in this game because you just can't leave your Nintendo on all night. Well, you can, but it's good that you have a saved point and you're able to pick up the game later. In this game, you went through 8 dungeons to look for the Triforce of Wisdom. And to put it together again, to save the Princess Zelda and to save Hyrule. One of the unique features of this game was the open world for the game. It was never done before in this way. You actually had freedom to explore. You had to go and burn this bush here or bomb this rock here to find secrets, heart containers or levels themselves. It was very interesting because you had to go through each of the dungeons and get a crucial item to help you progress through the game. Now, some dungeon items weren't necessary, but others were, like the ladder and the raft. You had to get, the whistle or the flute, whatever you want to call it, the recorder, rather. So this game was very unique in that way. I really enjoyed playing through this game, and I think as a kid I remember because there was an overworld map that came with the game. However, the dungeon maps, there weren't any dungeon maps. So I remember as a kid drawing out the dungeon map, the inside of the dungeons, to know which way to go and what was in them. It was a very unique game, and I really enjoy it. And if you haven't played it, I highly recommend you pick this up. Absolutely, this is a must-have game. So to follow that game was The Legend of Zelda, Adventures of Link. This is Zelda 2, is what it says on there. This game was radically different from the first one. Instead of being a top-down type of adventure like it was on The Legend of Zelda, this was more of a scroller game, left to right. It still had the same concept. It still felt like Zelda. You had to put crystals in different palaces to break the curse to help Princess Zelda, to help wake Princess Zelda up. At the end, there was a nobody really thought of it at the time, but I really thought that it was a good ending. And the final boss was very interesting. I'm not going to give it away. So I highly recommend you play this game, The Adventures of Link. Now, the next game came on what is the Super Nintendo. Now, that game was another great... I love that game. I think that's one of the best Super Nintendo games of all times. And of course, that could be debated. There are some people that think that there are better games. Super Metroid comes up there, Secret of Mana comes in there, the Donkey Kongs. The Super Nintendo was just one of a very awesome system that I highly recommend anyone to pick up that system if you want to play a good retro system. Now, for this, the Super Nintendo, the game was called Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. It's where you go through the light world and the dark world. In the light world, you pick 3 pennants, and you go into the dark world. And the this game was actually more story driven than the other two, the previous two. For that, I don't have the Super Nintendo version, but I do have the I think it's a Game Boy Advance game. I do have the Legend of Zelda: The Four Swords, which had the Adventures of Link also on this game. Now, the Adventures of Link was very, very unique. I really enjoyed that game, playing that game, and I highly recommend you playing it. The next game that came was The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. This is for the Game Boy, and actually I think I got it wrong. I think I got it reversed. I think the Link's Awakening came first before the Super Nintendo game, but I'm not positive. But again, this is another top-down view where after saving Hyrule, Link went out on a ship and he got shipwrecked on an island, and they had to go through various dungeons again and pick up the musical instruments to waken the Windfish. Again, that's a great game. I highly recommend it. And this kind of gives you more information on the story in the Zelda franchise. Also on the Game Boy Advance was the Zelda: The Minish Cap. That's another game that I highly recommend you getting. It's very fun to play. It's kind of it kind of reminds me of the Link's Awakening game. I highly recommend you pick this game up. Another game for the Game Boy Color, actually. I actually got the original games that I had when it first came out. Legend of Zelda Seasons and The Legend of Zelda Ages. Each game is a story of its own, but when you play like a Player Plus game, you know, it actually gives you a lot more storyline because things that happen in Ages happens in Seasons and vice versa. This is another great game from the Zelda series. Then finally came the Nintendo 64 games. These two are some of the most outstanding 64 games I thought on that system. Besides Mario 64, of course. I'm talking about the Ocarina of Time, and the Majora's Mask. These games are very important for the franchise. In fact, the Ocarina of Time is one of the most important games because it's the pivot point that actually the Zelda timeline theorists believe that this is a game that actually broke the storyline, the timelines into 3 different timelines. You have the fallen hero, where actually at the end of the game, Ganon actually kills Link, and then it spins it off to the fallen hero timeline. And then at the end of the game, also, if you succeed, when Zelda takes you back to the past as a child, so that starts the child storyline, and then on the other side of it is the adult storyline. So this game was the key to that, to the branch of the storylines. Now, several games came onto the Game Boy, or the Nintendo DS, and the Nintendo 3DS. I know I skipped over the Wii. The Wind Maker I do not have as of now, but I plan to pick it up eventually. What really turned me off about the Wind Maker was the style that it was made in. I didn't really care for the shade, the cell shaded Link, Child Link. I didn't really like that very much, but I will eventually pick that up. So with that said, I got the Phantom Hourglass, and I also got the Spirit Tracks, A Link Between Worlds, and most recently, the Triforce Heroes. I know I am missing Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. I do not have a Wii U at this time, and I do not have a Wii at this time. So that's one of the reasons why I have not got those games as of yet. But eventually I will be getting those games. Now, for the future of Zelda, I'm really interested on what this Zelda Wii U is, and also maybe it's going to be on Nintendo's next generation system, codenamed NX. So I don't know what's that going to be about, but it seems like, from what I've seen, it seems like this is going to be the best Zelda game yet. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that. In fact, that will probably be a system seller for me. Now that I got the games out of the way, I also would like to show that I got a couple of amiibos. So I got Ganondorf, which I thought was a pretty cool amiibo. It's great to have that. I also got Impa, which is great. It's another great amiibo to have. And I have no other than Link himself and Zelda herself. I also have a Figma figure of Link. Here he is right here. And it's very articulate. This is mostly the Skyward Sword Link. But I just had to have it because my all-time favorite NES character. Other than that, this is the end of my video. If you have anything to add that I might have missed, which I'm pretty sure that I've missed, please make your comments below. I'll be glad to have a conversation about Zelda. And until next time, this is Grey Mouse 1.